Right, peace everyone. Welcome to the Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law. We thank all of you for your support, and definitely encourage you. We have a little adjustment tonight in the presentation of two of the three of the guests. Our special guests will not be here tonight. They will be and we'll be here on the platform in 2 weeks, right? The unforeseen situation that came up. Sister Phile will be on at 8:45, right, with us, the founder of the Million Woman March. All right, I've known her for 25, 26 years. All right, so we have the Moroccan Post School for Government International Law, the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. All right, you want to click subscribe, and also hit the notification button. All right. So hit that like, thumbs up. All right. So we have our our classes are uploaded, and this will be uploaded to the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. So we have my books, the Moors and Masonry.org. You got the Moors and Masonry Part 1, the Illuminati and Illumination of the Mind. This is small though. I can't. How her Venus and Moon rule, Masonic compass square and the connection to timekeeping and measurement, etymology and vocabulary, something that you want, and the newly released book Moors and Masonry Part 2, the power of Moorish treaties and the recovery of lost sovereignty. All right, go to moorsandmasonry.org. moorsandmasonry.org. Once again, that is the Moors and Masonry Part 2, the power of Moorish treaties and the recovery of lost Moorish sovereignty. All right, so we once again, the Moroccan Post YouTube page, Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Please, everyone, share. Right, so I actually been uploading, some of the contents on the Attica Kingdom of Lions WhatsApp and couple other WhatsApp pages. So we definitely, Shir Malachi's statement to the people is definitely getting out along with other material about what we're doing. Can you? That can't be. Can you see that, Joe? I can't see it.
I can see it.
I won't be able to read anything because I can't see anything. It's small on my end. Oh, all right. I see it. All right. I don't know why. What happened? All right. You up? Am I reading? You reading this, right?
I can.
All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Objective of the Moroccan Post School of Government and International Law. The Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law's main objective is to facilitate the national political unity of the various Moorish governing body into a Moorish intergovernment alliance and Central Moorish Imperial Parliament Council. The ultimate goal of the Moorish Imperial Parliament, the ultimate goal of the Moorish Intergovernment Alliance would function as a Moorish provincial government, transitional temporary government, to provide international representation and an international voice for our people who, in large numbers, are currently subjugated under the apartheid United States system of legalized slavery evidence through the mass denationalization of the original autochthonous native Aboriginal indigenous peoples of the land. Furthermore, the provisional transitional Moorish government will facilitate a temporary transitional Moorish government structure to use diplomatic channels and international law to engage in diplomacy with the European nations with which we, the native Moors of the land, have treaties so as to stay in unity with the treaties as the laws of the land, and in honor with international treaties, agreements, covenants, declarations, unions, and conventions of the indigenous Aboriginal people that form the impact, thank you, with each other, and along with treaties signed with Great Britain, France, Spain, Portugal, England, Great Britain, Sweden, the Netherlands, Dutch Republic, Belgium, Denmark, Sardinia during the 1500s, 1600s, 17 and 1800s, and the de jure United States of America in 1787 and 1836 as the ruling principle and the norms of law. All right. The Moroccan Post, make that larger. The Moroccan Post School. Well, did I read that? The
Shem's
Moroccan
statement.
Oh, this is Shem. No, this is not Shem's statement. No, all right. The Moroccan Post is another. All right, this is another part. All right. The Moroccan Post School for Government International Law, the educational vehicle for the facilitation of the Shem Malachi-based proposal and plan to facilitate political legitimacy, the will of the people, the consent of the people, and good government through education, large-scale community outreach, and networking. The Moroccan Post School for Government International Law's main objective is to facilitate the national political unity of the various Moorish. This is already read.
Shem's
Right?
statement is next.
Your statement is next, Terrence. Yeah, I think it's something. It's just similar. Yeah, just go to Shem's statement.
This one was hold on, I thought I had this one actually saved as Shim State.
All right. So yeah.
So let's. Oh crap!
You should be able to scroll down. It should be right under this.
No, that's the proposal. Wait a minute.
Then I have Shem's statement up.
Hold on.
Yeah, right. This is Shem's statement right here. This is Shem's statement. Joe, you up?
Shem Malachi Bey's proposal for call for the restoration of national Moorish political unity through political legitimacy, the will of the people, the consent of the people, and good government, education, large-scale community outreach, and network. Shem Malachi Bey's public statement to the people. Greeting. My proposal and plan for the restoration of national Moorish political unity is rooted in the past structures of Asian governments. The proposal and plan for restoring national political unity among our people, the Moors, most of whom are classified as Black, Negro, Colored, African American, and the United States Census Bureau, is to facilitate political legitimacy, consent of the people through large-scale community outreach and network. This large-scale outreach approach to unconscious Moors and the network among the conscious Moors have political bodies are vital to contribute to the formation and expression of the will of the people. Having a network vehicle that creates the space for the formation and expression of the will of the people is a fundamental principle to facilitating good government and the basis to political legitimacy. The political action of Moroccan/Moorish political bodies coming together to form a central governing body composed of many Moorish body politics to function as a Moorish national provisional temporary governing body to serve as a voice for our people in the international arena is much needed to address the systematic, generational mass denationalization, and subjugation of our people, the Moors, as well as the generational European colonization of our lands known to the world as North America, South America, Central America, and Americana. An interpolitical constitution will be formed from our Moorish political governing bodies by sending up representatives elected by the Moorish Moroccan people or by supreme authority who will exercise collectively the sovereign power and authority in a provisional temporary capacity that the Moorish Deys, Beys, Emirs, Caliphs, Pashas, and Bashas, indigenous Aboriginal people, operated in unity with Moorish emperors/sultans, once exercised before the dismantling of our Moorish empire and the usurpation of our Moorish sovereignty due to conquest, subjugation, and colonization by the Empire of Spain, Empire of Portugal, Kingdom of France, Kingdom of England/Great Britain, Kingdom of the Netherlands, Dutch Republic, Kingdom of Sweden, Denmark, Sardinia, and Belgium. When the sovereign power of an empire, kingdom, or nation that rules over a host of kingdoms or provinces in their territorial domiciles diminish, the people of the empire, kingdom, or nation possess the inherent and divine right to return to the international law of nations, principles of post-millennium, reversion to sovereignty, recovery of lost sovereignty, self-determination, and autonomy. When Moorish emperors relinquish their sovereign power over the Moorish kingdoms and the territorial domiciles they once controlled, we, the Moors, have a right to govern ourselves and form an interpolitical assembly with an interpolitical constitution that would act or take the place of the sovereign power that the Moroccan Moorish emperors once claimed. The interpolitical constitution will be the structured governmental body that regulates authority over all the Moorish political body politics states by the structured language in the interpolitical instrument. The interpolitical constitution will position us politically to reestablish diplomacy and consular relations with the Empire of Spain, Empire of Portugal, Kingdom of France, Kingdom of England/Great Britain, Kingdom of the Netherlands, Dutch Republic, Kingdom Sweden, Denmark, Sardinia, and Belgium, with which we negotiated treaties during the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, and 1800s. The Moorish treaties prove that the names Morocco and Moor were predominant names that dominated the military engagements, wars, commercial, trading, mercantile, merchant, seafaring, diplomatic and consular strategies, captivity and ransoming strategies of the Empire of Spain, Empire of Portugal, Kingdom of France, Kingdom of England/Great Britain, Kingdom of the Netherlands, Dutch Republic, Kingdom Sweden, Denmark, Sardinia, and Belgium between the 700s and the 1800s. The enforcement of the ancient international law principle of restoring a people held against their will to their original condition before being placed into slavery, subjugation, servitude, captivity, and bondage, known as post-millennium, will place our people on the proper road to recover our Moorish lost estates, inheritance, land rights, natural resources, sovereignty, treaty protections, place in the family of nations, nationality, names, histories, languages, genealogy, ancestral festivals, clothing, holidays, rituals, dances, celebrations, ceremonies, philosophies, and science of healing with the use of sound and herbs, and science of astronomy, the law of the stars. The United States Emancipation Proclamation 1863, 13th Amendment 1865, 14th Amendment 1868, and 15th Amendment 1870 have been used as political tools to disguise the continuation of the slavery, subjugation, and captivity of our people. These United States legislations during the 1860s do not constitute the enforcement of the international law of nations, remedy of restoring and returning a people held against their will under the conditions of slavery, subjugation, servitude, captivity, and bondage. Pusillanimity is the international law principle of restoring and returning a people to their original condition before captivity, slavery, and subjugation. It is evident that the United States Emancipation Proclamation, 1863, 13th Amendment, 1865, 14th Amendment, 1868, and 15th Amendment, 1870, have not restored and returned us to our original condition before captivity, slavery, and subjugation. The United States has committed human rights violations by the generations of systematic mass denationalization of our people. The United States does not have a structured foundation set up to rightfully and properly place in a census, transmit the national living beings after birth of the indigenous Moroccan, Moorish consanguinity and their system of records to protect and safeguard the natural living beings, nationality, and birthrights. The provisional temporary government will allow for the facilitation of formation and expression of the will of the people and political legitimacy as the path to permanent government and re-entering the family of nations under the reversion to sovereignty as an old and original state. This political structure will position us politically to effectively address the United States human rights violations by the generations of systematic mass denationalization of our people and the disguising of the continuation of slavery under Emancipation Proclamation 1863, 13th Amendment 1865, 14th Amendment 1868, and 15th Amendment 1870 to the International Community of Nations, Family of Nations. People, used in a political sense, is the repository of the sovereignty of the people and the source of government power. I propose a plan to facilitate the restoration of the exercise of this inherent sovereign power that embodies the collective unity of our people operating in political government structure. It is vitally important to facilitate a political process whereby our people who still remain unconscious and classified as Black, Negro, Colored, and African American in the United States Census Bureau and the Commerce Department can be a part of the will of the people. Once they become conscious of their Moorish nationality and birthright, a political process that does not facilitate the formation and expression of our people who are unconscious of their Moorish nationality and birthright is not aligned with the principles of political legitimacy, the will of the people, the consent of the people, self-determination, and good government. Moors and Masonry, Part 1, is an extensive research and study in the history of Moorish treaties, military engagements, wars, captivity and ransom strategies, diplomacy, and consular relations between the Moroccan Empire, including Algiers, Tripoli, and Tunis, and the European kingdoms, Empire of Spain, Empire of Portugal, Kingdom of France, Kingdom of England / Great Britain, Kingdom of the Netherlands, Dutch Republic, Kingdom of Sweden, Denmark, Sardinia, and Belgium during the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, and 1800s. Let us reconnect to our ancient knowledge of divine law, the unseen, invisible world, in natural law as expressed by the all-seeing eye by restoring our ancient knowledge of universal law, mentalism, cause and effect, correspondence, polarity, rhythm, gender, and opposite / duality, as well as our ancient knowledge of geometry as the blueprint for creation, as expressed symbolically as the compass and square with the G in the center, and the geometric shapes on stained glass windows of churches, mosques, and synagogues.
All right, this is the Attica Kingdom, Attica North America Convention. This is, we will be attending this event in Atlanta. I think we'll be leaving out on the, forget what date. And then I'll be going to New York that following week for a day or two. I will be speaking in both Atlanta and New York. All right, I am on the list to as one of the speakers. All right, so the registration is $250. All right, so we have Atlanta, Georgia from September 20th through September 26th, and New York, Long Island from September 20th through September 30th. All right. Next, all right. All right, can you increase that, please? Can't see it. All right. Large-scale community education, outreach, and network. Shamalakai Bey and Abdullah Il Talimosi Bey, the liaisons between the Moors in the Moroccan Empire and brothers and sisters to the Attica Kingdom Alliance, 750 kingdoms in Africa, have been invited to speak at the 2023 Harnessing the Diaspora Current Economic Development Summit in Attica Kingdom Alliance North American Convention held in Atlanta, Georgia from September 20th to the 25th, and New York City during the United Nations General Assembly from September 26th to September 30th. The Shimalakai Bay plans aligns with the Attica Kingdom Alliance objective in recovering the lost sovereignty, restoring the native people's blood right ties to the land, and ending of centuries of European colonization and mass denationalization. They will be accompanied by two assistants, Dozette Il Bey, Secretary to Abdullah, and Secretary to Moroccan Post School for Government International Law, will be responsible for taking notes, posting pictures on Facebook Live, and written reports. Terrence Bey, the administrator of the Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law, will be responsible for transportation, video, and photography. Will also give live up-to-date reports on Facebook Live and to YouTube. Our purpose is to restore the lost Moor sovereignty by promoting Shimalakai Bey's proposal, which is to restore national political unity to conscious and unconscious Moors, most of whom are classified as Black, Negro, Colored, African American, and United States Census Bureau, and all official documents. This is to facilitate political legitimacy, free will of the people, and consent of the people through large-scale education, community outreach, and network. And then, in addition, the funds will be used to build a legal library to include international law books, political science, political philosophy, political and economic infrastructure books. We are writing to request your assistance in reaching our goal of raising 8,000, I'm gonna change, by August
5,000.
15th, 5,000. Is it 8,000 on there? This is the old one. Yeah, this wasn't changed. The 5,000.
Sorry, I got them mixed up after the update.
No problem. Your donation will position us to address the following issues at the Attica Kingdom Alliance North American Convention: generations of mass denationalization of our people, European colonization and our land, and linguistic genocide perpetrated against the Moors for centuries. Furthermore, the plan will facilitate the formation and expression of the free will, consent of the people, and education and educate unconscious Moors about their Moorish nationality, blood ties to the land, and history and culture. Your kindness will give hope to many individuals and families as we restore our presence in the international platform. Thank you in advance for your consideration as we hope that we can count on your support to advance our cause. We've already gotten donations. Shem Malachi Bay's on. Oh, wow. That's something. I like messing with him. All right.
And we'd also
Um,
like to say thank you to those that have donated very generously. So we do appreciate your support. And you know who you are.
right. This is, I've already read this, Terrence. Terrence?
You did. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Switching over.
I didn't.
I think that was the write up. Just looking at. Thanks. Crap. You're looking for the write up, correct? I put them in.
The letter.
Yes, I put them in 2 times. Crap. Hold on.
All right, so yeah, so once again, we want to thank those who've already donated. I thank you for your support. I have been, all right, I've been communicating and educating on the Attica Kingdom Alliance WhatsApp page. I sent Malachi Bay's statement on there, posted my books and, you know, also our lessons that we give in the political legitimacy in the international Moroccan Post School for Government International Law. So I definitely been getting positive feedback, you know, as I'm using these various platforms. I've been reaching out to quite a few people who have various platforms who are like ourselves, reaching out to international communities, you know. So we're going to read the letter. Listen. Are you ready?
I am
All right, here we go.
April 12th, 2023. During the chair, Your Excellency, Uda Makia, as Africa Kingdom Alliance Royal Ambassador at Large, this official letter of recommendation is on behalf of Moorish Ambassador of Amexem, Honorable Abdullah Al Talib Muzi Bey, Moorish Ambassador, to sit at the table in a discussion of the Moors of Amexem / America with the Attica Kingdom Alliance and the one, Akabellum today, tomorrow, forever. Abdullah Al Talib Muzi Bey, Moorish representative to the Attica Kingdom Alliance, will serve in a non-political capacity as a liaison to educate the 750 kingdoms that embody the Attica Kingdom Alliance. As the Moorish representative, he will facilitate dialogue on political issues regarding the autochthonous, original, native, and indigenous Moors. The Moors have been classified for generations as Black, Negro, Colored, African American, Indian, Spanish, Latino, and Hispanic on the United States Census and on other official documents used in United States jurisdiction. Abdullah will address the primary issues of mass denationalization of the Moors. He will also educate the Attica Kingdom Alliance on the centuries of European colonization of Moorish lands, mass incarceration, linguistic genocide, medical apartheid, mass imprisonment, subjugation by the Empire of Spain, Empire of Portugal, Kingdom of France, Kingdom of Great Britain, Empire of Netherlands, Denmark, Sardinia, and Belgium from the 1500s to the present, and by the United States from 1789 to the present. Our objectives and goals are aligned with the Attica Kingdom Alliance. This conference is an opportunity to collaborate and establish ongoing working relationships with the Attica Kingdom Alliance to address the above issues and to facilitate liberations for millions of Moors in North America, South America, Central America, and for our sisters and brothers on the continent of Africa. On behalf of the Crown of Attica, Makakuvu Ali El Bey, Africa Kingdom Alliance, Royal Ambassador at Large.
I've already begun the education process through their WhatsApp page. Been loading quite a few material, including Shamanakai-based statement. Right, so that's going to be ongoing. I will have probably uploaded about 1,000, probably 1,000 posts by the time within the next 3 or 4 months, or at least 1,000 posts. You know, I'm going to be constantly posting in education. So if that has already begun. All right. Also, starting last Tuesday, this Tuesday of last week and yesterday, I was on the permanent forum for people of African descent, Friends of the African Union, led by Herschel Daniels. The brother Mata Kuvu informed me about this group. I had never heard of it. They had started 10 years ago. This was 10 years ago. They got a 50-year plan, and so they'll be going into their second plan. However, this group does not address the issue of post-millennium. This is a economic package. So it doesn't address post-millennium, doesn't address the issue of decolonization, mass denationalization. They are calling the people Black. They are pushing forth that false history. So this is, so Abdullah, why are you there? Abdullah, why are you there? All right, to make our presence known. I'm there to develop a rapport. I'm there to have a presence. I want them to see my face, my name. I'll make comments. So I will be on every Tuesday. Right? We have to have a presence of one who has consciousness of the true political issues, the true history. Right? That's why I'm there. All right. So I will be there every Tuesday, all right, at 12 noon, live and direct on the permanent forum for people of African descent, Friends of the African Union. I will be there. It's led by Herschel Daniels. I will be on every week. They will see my face and my name every week, and they will hear my voice, right? I didn't say anything yesterday, but I will be, be making little discussions here and there, right? We'll have Sister Sasha and Monty. Shim and I met them last the end game when we did the end game presentation in New York in December. She and her brother will be making a presentation in 2 weeks, along with Old Prong will be on. Old Prong was on 2 weeks ago. All right, Abraham, Old Prong, he didn't get a chance to speak, so we're inviting him back. All right, so he can have opportunity to speak. He had so something had come out where he could not make it. Mataku will be on. Sister Phile will be on at 8:45 with us. She's the founder of the Million Wool March. I've known for 25 to 26 years, right? So she'll be on at 8:45, and I will be speaking at the event that she's putting together in July. All right, so we are very serious. We are connecting with different organizations, right? And also educating them. All right. So we are Shir Malachi Bey. I want to say to you, brother, you are making an impact, brother. I'm saying to you now, brother. I said to you 4 years ago, brother, 4 years ago, standing outside your mother's house. Shim, you're making an impact, brother. Please hear me out, Shim. You're making an impact. You're making a tremendous, 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 tremendous 7 times impact, brother. This education is needed 100 years ago. I want to tip my fez and I'll let my turban to you, brother. I want to let you know you are making an impact. Right?
We all appreciate it.
So this I'm saying. So I was on the chat with Opalot. I sent Opalot your letter, the statement. I sent Opalot other information. Opalot is with the Attica Kingdom line. You have a prompt. Opalot is in Uganda. Opalot, he's in Uganda. We'll have him on a Sunday, Terrence, because that's 7 hours, that's 7 hours ahead. They're 7 hours ahead of us. So we had to have him on a Sunday, all right, at 1 or 2 o'clock. So he reached out to me. He said, I see y'all have a school in international law. All right. So I shared him the statement, Shem's statement, and other material. All right. So we are having an impact. Shem, I'm telling you, brother, you're having an impact, brother. You have these various Moorish groups that will not talk about state. I know the concept they're grabbing, I know, but the fact that they're doing that, they were not even talking about the act of Algiers. You brought that to the forefront, Shem. So we know they're going to grow with it. So you're changing, you're putting us on the proper road. And I said to you 4 years ago, standing in front of your mother's house, and we talked for 2 hours. Let me help you. We can get this out, but it's going to take time. It's being done. So I want to be live and direct. All right, so we'll be speaking at the Attica Kingdom Alliance. Like I said, I will have posted over 1,000 times by then. So the education has begun already. So by the time we go to Atlanta, they would already have been abreast through their West app page. All right. So Monty and so Sister Phile will be on. All right. So we done the readings? The readings have been done. All right. Amanda, I want you to talk about the Libra group so we can show that we are on the right track with these principles. We got to bring forth these principles. There's been a lot of misconceptions, the misconceptions that's holding us back. So I want to thank Shem again for bringing forth proper concepts. It's the proper concepts that's going to enable us to grow and take this movement to greater heights. Abdullah, has there been a lot of activity? Yes, with misconcepts. It's misconcepts, though, that stagnates us. So we needed a Shem Malachi Bey to give us proper concepts so we can move forward with proper understanding about what this movement actually is. Once again, brother, I salute you. A great appreciation for you, brother. All right, chapter 8 of my book. Chapter 8 of my book. All right, Moors and Masonry, part 2. Chapter 8 of my book. I'm going to read it. Chapter 8 of my book is titled Shem Malachi Bey's Proposal and Plan for the Restoration of Moorish National Political Unity based in the ancient, well-settled international law principles of restoration of post-millennium, reversion to sovereignty, and recovery of lost sovereignty. This will be structured into a separate book. When we go to New York, in Atlanta and New York, we're going to be giving out the books. We would even have a QR code. They can go right to it. QR code, have flyers with the QR code and go right to the plan. All right, we are getting Shem. We're getting high praises, brother. We are. We're getting high praises, and we are drawing certain people because of the level of proper concepts. Terrence, I said it to you on the phone, I'm saying to you openly. I salute you, brother. You've been with us for over 3 years, 3.5 years. And I said to you, and I would call you and say, your work would not be in vain. You are making an impact. You're making a tremendous impact, and I want to salute you, Terrence, and unwrap my turban. Is Terrence on? No, he left.
He stepped out for a minute.
All right, so he had to hear the recording. You know, I know wrap my turban and tip my fist to Terrence. Tired. This brother tired, he still goes. Tired, worked, and he still, you know, gives effort. Joe, I want to thank you for work for the past 3 months and assisting us with the plans for the Attica Kingdom Alliance trip. Definitely. So we're serious, we're focused, and we are making impact. And I know people wanted 100 years ago. So it will have been 30 years for me in October. And I've seen a lot of people come and go, fired up, and their flame goes out. And I analyzed that. Why? I understand why. When you don't have political structure, they don't see that, and this individual process upon individual process upon individual process upon individual process upon individual process, and not you have reestablished the diplomatic relations and done things through diplomatic channels, and they gotta fend for themselves. That is exhausting. I got over almost 200 calls in a 10-year period. Abdullah, my nationality card, the job don't accept it. My paperwork, Abdullah, name correction paper, the job don't take it. That's discouraging. So I brought these points up to Shem 4 years ago when I started working together. We met, I've known Shem for 20 years. We began working together for the first time 4 years ago, over 4 years ago. And I brought these points up, and what are we going to do differently? So, Amanda, I want you to talk about the Lieberman group.
Okay, yeah, Joe pulled it up. Thank you, Joe. And if you want to go down a little bit to the history, I'll kind of read over that. So I met the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Lieberland at a county, it wasn't at the county commission meeting, but I had met up with some people afterwards and met him there, and we were discussing pretty much international law, and I didn't know what I knew now, but when I went back into the website with this new knowledge and new eye, all of this stuff was popping out to me. So I just figured I'll read this instead of going in circles and talking, and it'll be more direct. So the history of the Free Republic of Lieberland is a sovereign state located between Croatia and Serbia on the west bank of the Danube River. The parcel of land came into existence due to a border dispute between Croatia and Serbia. The area is not claimed by Croatia, Serbia, nor any other nation or private entity. Furthermore, it remained unclaimed since the dissolution of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in 1991. In fact, for many decades, it had been uninhabited and no claim was ever made to this piece of land. It was therefore terra nullius, a no man's land, until Vit Jedlicka and Jana Markova proclaimed it as the Free Republic of Liberland on the 13th of April, 2015. Liberland set its boundary with ample margin for neighboring countries to ensure that it does not infringe upon the territory of Croatia or Serbia. Talks about the area, and it's now the third smallest sovereign state after the Vatican and Monaco. And I had put some links to the website in the chat for anybody that wanted to just peruse, but there's some stuff in there where it talks about how they had to pretty much do research on the border claims and the different claims in international law that had or had not taken place, and to know if they were able to make a claim there. Now, what defines the state? And so they're going according to the principles that we've been learning about in the Montevideo Convention. According to Article 1 of the 1933 Montevideo Convention on Rights and Duties of States, the canonical definition of in international law reads that the state as a person of international law should possess the following qualifications: A, a permanent population; B, a defined territory; C, government; and D, capacity to enter into relations with other states. And then they have for them, and where it would be a little bbit different for Moors re-entering the international community as an old and original state, they're making considerations that are in their favor, so as to be able to engage and make agreements and treaties and other things so they can start to become a nation. But so that the formation as a state is based on self-government of its own principles, which is principle in international law. Liberland was proclaimed with the tacit consent of its parent state, Serbia, which waived its claim to the territory. Liberland does not violate the territorial integrity of any other country. Liberland was not claimed by use or force. Liberland is not a separatist or secessionist movement or secession movement. Liberland is not a coup or takeover of an existing state. There is no applicable counterclaim to that of Liberland on the indicated territory. So why would other nations want to do business with them? These may be some reasons why they would want to, but now there would be, I would argue that for Moors re-entering the international community, they would have considerations also in their favor that would maybe be different than entering as a new state. Because there was a no man's land there, it was easy. There's not a dispute, there's not conflict. And I would say that it could be a similar situation here, but so they're just following all of the same principles that we've been learning about. And they also have, they created a provisional articles of the provisional government. So that's kind of what we were talking about. So they're following the same steps into becoming a state in international law. And so that's where they have in their set times, like that there's showing that it's only provisional. So once everything is set up and they're able to set a date to have a convention, they're able to come together, and they put in there essentially that once these positions are voted on and the people choose their government and the Constitution is voted on and agreed upon, that all of these things will fall away, and that will be what's in place now governing them. So this was a couple years ago. I don't know necessarily where they are in their path now, but it was good information. It gives some context to what we're discussing. That's all.
Absolutely. It gives more content to the Shim's statement to the people.
Yes.
Where we read the that's as a provisional temporary government to serve as an international voice for our people in a temporary capacity, and during which time will we be facilitating large scale outreach. See, we got to push forth these principles. We have to raise the level of education. We're going to get attention from others. We're going to get attention. We're drawing attention already. As I said before, Shem, having a tremendous impact, brother.
Yeah,
And the good thing about it, I'm adding to this is that we had something worse than a coup. We had a overthrow. We had apartheid and genocide done against us. So therefore, the next nation through conquest, there was no legitimate declaration. There was no legitimate cede of land or grant of anything chartered to any European powers. They decided to come into the convention in 1859 and decide to write us out of history. So that's a genocide. That was the Pope. The Pope made a good claim illustration. The Pope apologized for the culture of genocide. All this started behind the France and the Pope did against the Moors, which messed the Moors so bad they call us Mexicans now, Puerto Ricans, Philippines, all these different color of name titles of racism. All this come from the persecution of our people. So this still being carried out by the United States. So we go before the reason why we have to go before there as a old state, become a member of a new member of the United Nations, because it gives us a voice to file resolutions, and not only that, it gives us a chance to go before the Hague and bring up all these genocides against our people. So we're not talking about a coup now here. We're talking about overthrow of a people, genocide, through what? Through language, through education, through food, destroying our food line, taking our resources, incorporating our resources, and taking our land and that section out our land to conquest, saying the land belongs to them now, adverse possession, as if the land is unoccupied, it's not claimed by nobody. So all this is being, only way we can address this is by coming together as one, as the communities of provincial governments, form one national body, go there and register, deposit our instrument, and be heard by the other permanent members of the United Nations. Most of those members that signed that charter already signed the 1880 Madrid Treaty Convention and signed the Act of Algiers. They're already members there. So they're well aware when we go before the Hague, we use the same argument that France used in 1952. They brought the Act of Algiers and Madrid Act, 1880. This is what they brought up. What? The United States lost that jurisdiction because anciently they never had it. The states were founded in 1787 through a treaty. So when the Crown said the 1856 treaty between Morocco and Great Britain, that any criminal civil jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction, belongs to the Moors. The Granada Treaty belongs to the Moors. So what's going on here? How can the Moors get like this? Cultural genocide. So we're not talking about a coup. You overthrow a people. Cultural genocide. You actually put the fake history in front of these people, denationalize them through language and fake history and knowledge to the fact they became extinct. See, this is what we understand. A man don't have to die. A woman, a man don't have to die physically. When they did mentally from culture, they did and seek to exist in the corner rim. They don't exist no more. There's nothing handed down. Principles. So you die when your culture is hid from you. Yes, you did. You don't exist to what? Anybody claim to be a nation on the world, on the earth, you don't claim to them because you don't self-determine. You nobody. So they cut off our education, they castrate us. Anybody remember the medieval days, how do you take a man's will from him? You put his head in a vice, you twist it, make him a madman, or you castrate the man so he can't produce with the woman, you burn his testicles, or you do what, or you put him in prison. So we go back to medieval days. They got something better than medieval days. They give you education, false language, concepts. What they do, they killing you, they genocide you without the people seeing it. It's an art of war. You're being genocided right now through education. So there's no coup going on, there's a culture genocide going on. The only way that's going to stop is we got to go ahead and register with deposit our estimate and be able to file a resolution application with the Hague and bring a case for the World Court. Now we be heard now because we self-determined by ourselves, a self-determined state, national government. The right to exist on the earth, the right to protect our people. And we got all the evidence that we need right now. All the evidence is there. No problem. All we have to look at the 1952 case when France took the United States for the Hague World Court. France went back, grabbed all the old treaties, old acts. So somebody said these treaties not forcible. Yes, they are. Anytime a European can force our treaties, and they're not even a Moor, can force your treaties, you can't do it. No, you can't do it in their courts. You know why? In their courts, that's a disadvantage. You take away their sovereign power. They're gonna let you come in their courts and force your treaty. They know, they're laughing because they know already they ain't got the power to litigate a treaty. Only the council got that power. So you go before him a treaty, and more go before a court with a treaty, he's gonna lose. Because the courts already know there's nothing delegated to them to hear treaties. The self-executed Moorish treaties say that a council, that means, let me explain, because everybody don't know what council jurisdiction means. That means the council is the only judicial officer can hear that matter. So they can't commit apartheid against you no more, strip your rights, because the council say, well, in order to come into this court, you gotta have a nationality. You can't have a race. There's no racism here. And you got to have a real witness. A real witness. Now the council is a judicial, international judicial officer that hear the fact, weigh the fact, and make a decision. You cannot appeal what that council say at all. Because the council makes decisions on international law. Now the statutory revision is written by a legislative body that's not Moors. Here's a legislative body writing laws and statutes giving sovereignty from your native Moors emperor of Morocco. A Moor giving him sovereignty to do business in their territory, and you go through that de facto government saying, I'm gonna force your codes and your court. The judge can't hear him. So you want about a judge to dismiss your case. Because they already know you don't know what you're doing. You ain't got no business being there. What you mean, Shim? They know that in order for you to come for them to speak, you say I'm a Moor. The judge, of course, I can't speak. Why can't he speak? Because I only can speak and rule on things pertaining to citizens of this state, this union of the states. So you're going to court for a remedy. You are expatriating yourself now. You ask the court to make a ruling. Once they do that, you got to become a citizen. Yes, you got to expatriate and become a citizen now. So don't steal you. So Abdullah was 100% right. They never steal your birthright. You give it up to expatriate. You expatriate yourself out of that your government. You go to that court, you expatriate yourself, which means you're switching your political allegiance. They're not stealing your birthright. They're making you switch your political allegiance. This is very important. You must understand. They are making you switch your allegiance. They're not stealing your birthright because they're not stealing your blood. They're not stealing your melon. They're stealing your allegiance through knowledge. The knowledge of knowing where to go to bring your complaints, your grievances. So the moment you go to the court, you gave up your allegiance to Morocco. Because the judge is not a Moor. The judge is not important about Moorish government. There ain't no cases. The judge is not important about in the treaties. This is not even being important in the treaties for judge to hear cases.
All right, so hold on, Shem. You made it because you said, let me be clear that. So even if the judge is a Moor, classified nigger color black, just you made it. Just want to bring that because I think we want to make sure people are clear on that. Even if the judge is a Moor, classified nigger color black, judge is a Moor, the judge is not appointed by a Moorish government.
Exactly.
The judge is not operating. Moor judge, classified nigger color black, is not operating. It's not exercising Moorish sovereignty, not operating under the authority of a Moorish government.
That's right. The judge, the Moor that took the judgeship or legislatorship had expatriated himself from being a Moor, being political. His allegiance is not to the Moroccan government, his allegiance is to the United States or to a foreign government. That's called expatriation. He's not losing his birthright because the birthright is his melanin, his carbon, his visible pigment. He can't lose his melanin, his blood right. What he does is switches allegiance, which is expatriation. He no longer considers himself under the protection of his government. He no longer considers himself as representing that government. So therefore, if the judge sitting there, he said, well, he'll more. He's not selling out. He sold himself out already. The moment that he started registering to vote, the moment he started learning, being taught, programmed in them schools, universities, to become a public official in that de facto corporate government, he already expatriated himself out of Morocco, period. So he's no help to you.
Any questions?
Peace. This is Sheehan.
Peace, Sheehan.
Doesn't the 1783 Treaty of Paris, the definitive peace treaty, doesn't it mention a waiver of rights? Not exactly, but doesn't it mention the rights are it's something, but they're not surrendered, but they're waived.
Well,
All
that
right.
treaty doesn't
Relinquish.
apply to Moors. That treaty
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
apply to a Moor. It
Yeah, it
applies to
doesn't
the
apply to
United
Moors.
States.
Right.
The treaty you want to go to when you're dealing with Moors, when you're dealing with Moors and stuff, the only treaty to find a Moor is the 1856 treaty, where the Crown made it clear that any dispute, civil or criminal, shall any state by conquest or treaty, hear that out. The Crown made it clear, any state by conquest or treaty, United States is a state by treaty of the Crown. Therefore, they're obligated to obey that treaty. They got relinquished jurisdiction over more in the Crown territory. So if you go to the state of Georgia, that's the original colony, became a state. Therefore, that's still the Crown territory. When you stop there, that state doesn't have jurisdiction over you because why? The Crown made it clear in her rim, in their dominion, their rim, they have no jurisdiction. That's why I say even anything by state or treaty or conquest. So the United States is a state by what? Treaty.
My
All right,
apologies. I should have qualified that by saying in principle. When something mentions
The treaty had nothing to do with Moors. Only time a treaty got something to do with Moors is when that ruling power of that government signed directly with the hierarchy of that government, the Emperor of Morocco. There's no treaty. When the Crown signed a treaty in Morocco back into the 1500s, 1600s, the recent treaty, the more defined treaty, is what? The Treaty of 1856, where they make it clear, this is clear, they make it distinctly clear that anything that was civil or criminal with the Moor got exclusive jurisdiction. That means there's no state through conquest or treaty can take that right away. And the days treaty, the days of Tripoli, is make it clear if any dispute arises, it's the day of Algiers to hear what? The dispute. So that covers United States too. Don't have any power.
So in disputes, dispute in international law would be criminal or civil.
Let's
Correct.
go to the treaty. Remember, when you go to international law, we go by the treaty. Two foreign powers made a distinctive determination. If it's a civil criminal matter between a Moor or subject of the Crown, that's United States citizens, yes. If a dispute arises, whether civil or criminal, the jurisdiction over the Moor belongs to the Moor. The Moor got exclusive jurisdiction over the matter. If it's the United States, if the Moor got a problem, a dispute with a subject, they go to the council, the British Council. So you hear what's going on here now. Please hear me out really good. The Crown makes it clear that the Moors have exclusive jurisdiction over their own property and their own person, their own people. But when it comes down to a dispute, let's say like right now, if a Moor's government, a Moor gonna sue the United States, and we set right, the Moor will have to take it to the council office of the national government. The national government go for the council of the British, French, or Spanish council, or Minister for European Affairs, file their lawsuit and sue them. And then if the case go up in The Hague, you will win on that treaty. the treaty, you win on that treaty because you bring in a rightful claim. They have to hear it. They have to take heed to your letter of rogatory and produce the evidence and witnesses and produce your claim. That means you could sue them. You don't need no federal court. The United States Attorney General will have to pay whoever he got, the ambassador or the solicitor, will have to pay before the Hague and argue that claim you got against them. So only thing that the court, the Hague will consider is what? The treaty first. Who have power to litigate this treaty? Does this national government have power? This court to hear it. In order for the court to hear it, you must first be a new membership. You must make a deposit first and be considered as what? A state. Once you once you deposit your instrument, you're a state. So therefore, the Hague will have to hear it now. So it's two foreign nations forced to international law. What makes it international law? It's a treaty between two religious powers. United States, Great Britain, it could be France, Spain, Portuguese, or it could be a national Moroccan government forcing a treaty violation. The court, only thing the courts are going to consider is one thing first. Do we have power to hear it? Based on the UN Charter and the Roman Statute, do we have power to hear this case? Yes. They are member states. They deposit the instrument to be self-recognized, self-determined state. Yes. The next claim is, what claims are you making? What's your claims based on? Treaties, acts that the parties sign between each other. That's it. Now, where's the evidence? What are you saying to do? The first thing you say, they annexed our land. What you mean annex your land? The adverse, they did as chief. The adverse possession of our land as if we wasn't living here. Then they came up with a scam through education and knowledge to erase our memories so we know who we are. We can't claim who we are. That's called amnesia. So what you mean? It's no different than the medieval days. You take a man's head, a woman's head, put it in a vice, and you twist the vice hard enough, you give them brain damage. So that's what it does, give them brain damage. Not physical brain damage, they give amnesia brain damage. They mean they give amnesia to the false conceptions. It's no different than medieval days. They're not using harmful vices no more, beat you in the head, or put your head in a vice, or castrate you. They're using education now. Like, what's this? They use intellectual property now. They're destroying us by giving us false concepts. By that, the seed, nothing can never grow. The woman can't grow, the man can't grow, the child can't grow. See, there's two kind of growths. There's a physical growth when the seed is in the woman's belly. They can't control that by nature. The child reaches certain maturity by the cycles of the moon and the sun. Now, once the child reaches a maturity, the child gets delivered, pushed out. Now, how about the child coming to the world? The child got to reach a maturity out of infant stage. I mean, the child got to speak plainly, they got to eat his own food. But if the child stay not able to feed himself, not able to talk, the child is considered a special needy child. That's why they call it a special needy child. Minors, infants, and all that stuff. That's where all these words come from. Wards of the state. Special needy person. Look at Social Security. The Social Security Administration definition of a Social Security recipient, beneficiary. It said a special needy person. Now you see what's going on here? This is an art of war. We have to know this. How's the enemy stripping us? How's this war being fought? Abdul approved it. It's being fought through education. Linguistics. The wrong knowledge, the wrong concept, the wrong meanings of words. So you can't express yourself. So you know who you are. You can never inherit anything if you know who you are. You can never go in your land, see your homeland, and take care of your land or anything because you know who you are. You know the land you stand on is your very land. Cultural genocide. This wasn't a coup overthrow the government. They didn't overthrow the government. They came straight in here and did conquest. Took us from our mother and turned right around and started psychologically whipping us to misconcept, miseducation. So in order for us to really rebound and do anything, we have to come together on this principle. Under one national government, one mind, one school of thought, a political community of provincial governments signing treaties among ourselves as being foreign, separate Moroccan governments operating in Morocco in our own provinces and regions, come together, sign a treaty among ourselves, and sign a national constitution, come with one national name, deposit that with the UN, and be self-determined for everybody. That way now, when we go to bring a claim now, it won't be a problem. Because we have what you call an ambassador that represents the national government that can file any resolution. We have a judge consultant general go before the World Court and bring our claims. And we'll be heard on them. And we'll win. And we definitely will win.
Question. Could we bring, like, okay, say there's a situation where we see one of our brothers or sisters being violated. Could we bring a claim against them even in a state of ignorance?
No, you can't. The Hague won't accept it. You know why? Because you're not a member state. You haven't reached the level of self-determination.
No,
See,
I'm
this
saying
is-
when I say when we reach the point where we could, even those of us who are still unaware, because based on what I'm saying, it's not just going to be an overnight thing where boom, everybody knows about it.
Education is everything. Listen, look at what they did. They set up education. They learned from the Moors. They set up schools. When we set up schools, right, in the schools, we'll put out proclamations, memos, and reports to bring the people around to the proper way of getting out of this mess. Is see, the people got to expatriate themselves out of the government. And then they got to repatriate themselves back into their proper government status. When that's done, then the government can do diplomatic relationship with the United States, say Homeland Security. It goes application of expatriation and repatriation to the proper government, which according to what? Treaty law, international law, and the 59th Congress. So now you got proper, if the people willing to do that, if they stay in a de facto state, then they look at it as that's interfering with the United States what? Business. So we got to make it clear to the people that if you want to be protected, you got to follow what was said in the Refugee Act. The Refugee Act make it clear about protection being stateless. If you don't come this way, you will remain. What you mean? Somebody says, I'm a citizen of the state. Okay, then you got to go to the state of Georgia and force your rights. And they whooping your mother in the streets. The Moors government can't do nothing. Why? Because you decided you want to stay in that box. So
Hey,
it's about
Shem, let's I hear what you're saying, brother. All right, let's put this on the table though. There is all right. Let's look at the 1803 treaty, Louisiana Purchase Treaty between France and the United States. Article 3. Article 3 is the citizen clause. How did the French become citizens? Those French who were living in that Louisiana area, that was surveyed by France, on our land, France on the Kingdom of France. They surveyed in the 1600s. All right, that in 1763. Through the definitive peace treaty between Great Britain, France Great Britain made a deal with Spain to have France cede the Louisiana to Spain under the Treaty of 1762, Treaty of Fontainebleau.
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
so Spain, extended her territorial sovereignty. All right. It was retroceded to Spain, retroceded it to France in 1801. France in turn ceded it to United States in 1803. There's a citizenship clause in that treaty. The King of France negotiated with the United States to have her subjects living on our land in that French zone to be citizens, all right, that they would through this treaty, through that treaty, those French became citizens of the United States. That's right there. All right, I'm
Yes.
using what to say there. I'm setting something up. All right, the 1846 treaty, the with Mexico and the United States.
Walulu. Yeah, Walulu Treaty.
18, that there's a citizenship clause, Article 3. All right. So I'm just setting the scenario. Now, when there is no unless all right. Now, let me go to this. The Article United States Code, Title 8, United States Code, Title 8 of the United States Code states that the Native people of Hawaii became citizens of the United States. Oh. Let's analyze that in the laws of nations now. You throw in my face Title 8 of the United States Code that the people of Hawaii became citizens of the United States. Now, so this is the advantage of studying international law. An attorney who has not studied international law will go for the okie doke. An attorney who went to law school, who did not study international law, will buy into that. Oh yeah, now Abdullah. See, Title 8 of the United States Code, states that the people of Hawaii are citizens. Oh, let's analyze this in the context of international law. Where's the treaty?
Yes.
Don't show me United States nothing. Don't show me United States codes, United States titles, nothing. Show me the treaty between United States and Hawaii with a citizenship clause. All right, come on, Abdullah. All right, that's well settled principles. Just like there's a citizenship clause in the treaty between France and the United States, 1803. See what I'm doing? This is what they do. This is what they do in the international law. They use well settled principles.
Yes.
They refer to things that were pre-existing. They go to that. And I'm doing the same thing. How do you know this, Abdullah? I've studied treaty cases upon treaty cases upon treaty cases. This is why I know this.
Yep, and a good sign of Abdullah is the Netherlands case when Netherlands won against in the World Court. Remember Abdullah, when the Netherlands were considered as citizens, they said we never gave it rights up. They was here.
Yeah, that's the Netherlands had claimed 200 years prior to United States before prior to that was ceded to United States. Yes. So
that's a very good case.
International law, it's a different world, y'all. It's a different world. We have to raise our level of knowledge. This is what we've been teaching. So the Queen of Hawaii didn't sign anything. The Queen of Hawaii was placed under house arrest by the United States military in 1893. She was placed under house arrest in her own palace. She did not sign anything. Anything. So come on now. How are Native people of Hawaii citizens of the United States? They're not. They're not. That's an act of subjugation. So that Title 8 of the United States Code is an act of subjugation. How do you know that? Where's your claim, Abdullah? Because the Queen of Hawaii never signed anything. The Queen of Hawaii never signed a treaty with the United States with a citizenship clause there. So if you don't know international law, you will go for the okie doke. Oh yeah, Title 8 of the United States Code. To help make Hawaii citizens of Hawaii, Native people Hawaii citizens.
quick question, Abdullah. Is that going back to the treaty with the Netherlands? Is that why, or the Netherlands? Is that the reason why the Amish are able to operate like they do to this
All
day?
right. All right, so let's look at the Dutch. The Dutch, the Dutch had exercised territorial sovereignty and occupation before England. All right, so I don't know. I got to get back to you and see what treaty that the Dutch signed with United States. All right, because you know I'm not. You know me. I'm not gonna make anything up. So I'm gonna. So let me. I want to know that. So I'm gonna look into that. All right, and we'll discuss that, and we'll bring back forth when I find that. All right.
Okay,
So,
peace. I just wanted to. I see the
no,
way
we
they
don't-
kind
yeah,
of
we don't want
operate.
to make anything up. We don't want to make
Okay.
anything
I got
up. We're gonna actually show it. We want to actually show it. All right.
Okay.
So we've got one or two more questions. We have Sister Phile on. She'll be and we have one or two more questions. No questions. All right. So we'll just bring Sister Phile. How you doing?
Greetings, my
Greetings,
brother.
sister.
Actually, I'm going to be on another device. Well, one of my sisters is on this device, so I'm going to be on another device. I'm having some technical problems, but as indicated, I need about maybe another 5 minutes. I said 8:35.
Anyway, so no problem. We'll get you. We'll continue. Thank you.
Okay, give thanks.
All right.
Okay,
All right, so
I want to answer something a little briefly about that, about the ecclesiastical power of the Amish and the Mennonites, because most people understand when William Penn was a Lord Proprietor, came here and established this. William Penn
thank you for that, Shem. Thank you.
the Quaker. He established the Quaker Society. Hear me out good. The Quakers are a sovereign ecclesiastical body that was given a charter, operating a charter of the William Penn.
That's the
Therefore,
answer.
for the William Penn charter, the Amish, the Mennonites sprung from the Penn societies. They branched off as an agriculture group, the farm, and what happened was all them Amish and Mennonites, they're operating on a Lord Proprietor charter.
They're operating on. That's the answer. Shem gave the answer. So I knew, Shem. Thank you for that knocking my head. That's the answer. The answer, Sheehan and everybody. Shem gave the answer. All right. It's the William Penn's charter. William Penn was granted a charter by King Charles II in 1682. He was also granted a second charter. So they're under the protection of the William Penn charter. Let me explain.
And the Lenape Boys.
Hold on, Shem. There's three types so they can understand the fullness. There's three types of charters. All right, you have the proprietary charters, you have the company charters, as in Virginia Company, you have the royal charters, New York Royal Charter. All right, that's Duke of York. All right, that's King Charles II's brother. He was next in line. He became king after his brother, King Charles II, transition. All right, you have the William Penn charter William Penn was a Lord Proprietor, which means that's a personal right. That's why I'm going to explain this in context. That's a personal right. The 1783 definitive peace treaty between Great Britain and United States. That treaty did not remove William Penn's personal rights. In international law, certain treaties do not remove personal rights. That is in Philip versus State versus Philip. State versus Philip, 1973. State versus Philip, 1973. All right, that language is in there regarding international law when there is a treaty, all right, secession treaty, personal rights are not removed. The Society versus New Haven. This is one of so they can understand this. Want to give them solid foundation. Society versus New Haven, 1823. Society versus New Haven. The Revolutionary War. The defense attorney made the claim that the defense attorney for New Haven. So you had the Society of the Propagated Faith was chartered under the Crown. The Crown chartered the Society of the Propagated Faith. The defense attorney made the claim that the Revolutionary War extinguished personal rights that the charter, that society had protected under that charter. That is not the case. So Wade, State versus Phillip in 1973, State versus Phillip echoes the principle of international law, as does Society versus New Haven, that the treaty, that the Revolutionary War did not extinguish pre-Revolutionary War rights. What that means is that personal rights are not removed. So the William Penn Charter, all right, William Penn is a lord proprietor. His heirs and successors, all right, inherited that. So that's a personal right. That 1783 treaty does not remove the personal rights of William Penn. So I'll just give that case there. So Shim is right that the Dutch, that the Amish are protected under the William Penn's charter. Thank you, Shim, for throwing that. I forgot about that. I appreciate you. Great, thank you. Sister Phile, are you ready? All right, well, one more question.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know we've gone over before the difference between the word cede and the word relinquish used in a treaty. I noticed that you referred to that treaty, definitive peace treaty between Great Britain and the United States, as a cession treaty.
Oh, and I pop. Thank you for correcting me. I'm wrong. Okay. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. 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 I am wrong. 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 Thank you. All right. The word cede does not appear. The word is relinquish, but not cede. So thank you, Amanda. It's not a cession treaty. All right. The word cession cede does not appear in that treaty. The word cede appears in the 1763 treaty between France and Great Britain. Over 10 times, look it up. Over 10 times, the word cede appears in the 1763 treaty between Great Britain and France. Right. The word cede does not appear at all in the 1783 definitive peace treaty between Great Britain and United States. In fact, it says we released the word relinquish and not cede. All right, relinquish and not cede. Now, well, Abdullah, there's synonyms. Well, synonyms don't mean the same. Don't get synonyms are not words that have the same meaning. So why isn't the word use cede in there? All right. In the treaty between France and Great Britain, you got two sovereigns, king and a king, king of France, king of Great Britain, two sovereigns. In the treaty between Great Britain and United States, you have a sovereign, King George III, and his what? Subjects in rebellion. You got King George III, a sovereign, and his subjects who were in rebellion to the crown. So the treaties between his subjects who were in rebellion to the crown, because they were subjects they're in rebellion. He's negotiating with subjects that were in rebellion. That's the key there. So thank you again for that. All right, because we want to make sure that we want to clear that point up. All right, it's not a cession treaty. The word cession does not and C does not appear in that treaty. It's the word relinquish.
Thank you.
All right, Sister Phile, you ready? All right, one more question.
Brother Abdullah, I am having problems with my tablet, so I'm going to have to switch over to get another device.
You have
So
it-
I give it a more minute.
No problem. You need more time? Yes. We have another question. Sister Manira, how you doing? Sister Manira, how you doing?
Islam, how are you, brother?
It's wrong, sister.
Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, I was just getting out of class, so I didn't want to, get on the mic. Yeah, I'm just getting out of class. I got a night class for logistics.
All right. Yeah, I've known Sister
Great
Manira for
seeing you.
about
Yeah, I
12,
just got the
13
inbox.
years.
Yes.
13
We used
years,
to
13
host
years.
you over here. Host you over here in the bureau.
At the Dindy's Rec Center. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Great seeing you. Look forward to see what else I can get from this conversation that you're talking.
All right.
Because I just got on, so.
Yes.
All right, it's on.
You have a question?
Well, I actually got a copy of the information that someone linked in, and I heard briefly about Great Britain and all that. Those thieves, those thieves that owe us. I'm looking forward to finishing up, on the conversation, the dialogue with tonight.
All right, we can listen to the recording too. Get the recording. I'll send that to you. I'll send the recording.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Much appreciation.
All right. Yes. Likewise. I was just waiting for Sister Phile to. She'll be coming back on. Another question. No more questions? Just waiting for Sister Phile to come back on.
So, Brother Abdullah.
Yes.
So can you just fill me in what I missed out on? Because I actually just got on the
You
call.
know what?
I mean,
you know what?
well, you said it's
good for you
recorded.
to look at the recording because it's
Okay.
Yeah, you said fill you in.
Are you able to forward me the
Only
recording? Because
yes,
it's the first time okay.
yeah,
So I'll
I
put
can
my
send you
email
some.
in
Yes, do that.
All right.
I have your number. I have your phone number. You still have the phone
Yeah.
same number? Yeah, because I've been sending you
973-818-8521.
973
818
818.
8521. Yeah, 8521.
All right.
All right, it's on.
Islam. Yeah, because we waiting for Phile's schedule to come and speak in a few minutes.
Islam.
Islam.
I have a question. The declaration, I believe, that Pope Francis did on March 30th to denounce or repudiate the doctrine of discovery. How much weight does that really have to help us move forward and being back in our we're in our sovereign state, but to be looked at seriously?
We're not in our sovereign state, so we have to.
Oh, okay.
All right, because I have now I have to clear that up because that's going to be on the recording and.
Thank you.
Because before I go into that, I have to make clear that we're not sovereign state. I know there have been conscious Moors who've been saying that. All right.
Yes.
They making that claim that we are in not sovereign state. All right. So what does that look like, Abdullah? You say we're in our sovereign state. That means that to be in your sovereign state, this is very important. Is that now that means that you're in your sovereign state, that means you have a military, 200,000 members of people in the military. You got a military. All right, means that you are exercising your supreme power and not be above, not below, and you're not below another earthly power. You're not below another earthly power, and you ain't going to the United States for nothing. United States ain't even gonna hear. It ain't no United States, you ain't talking United States because the United States is no longer on the land doing anything. United States, France, nothing. That you are exercising your full sovereign power, be able to self-determination, military. You have set up consulates and embassies in different parts of the world, and you have dispatched ambassadors and their families, and consuls and consul generals and their families in different parts of the world. All right, you have resurveyed. All right, you're no longer using those maps, right? You are having elections. You having elections. All right, so you said we are not sovereign. Okay, so that means that there would be a national election, primaries, and national election where Moors. That means that there ain't gonna be no United States president election no more. There's no more United States presidential elections at all. There ain't gonna be no Europeans going around our land doing you campaign for effort. All right, you said sovereign state. This is very important. And I know conscious Moors are out there throwing that around. You got conscious Moors. Sister, I've been blocked. Conscious Moors have blocked me. I don't care. I don't care. Got to teach the proper principles. It's about money grab. They're teaching false concepts. I got a state. Oh, you got a state. Mail me something. We don't need to sign on into any acts convention. We don't need to sign on to the Universal Postal Union. Hold on. Yet, mail me something. I'm not gonna say the person's name. I had this conversation. This person blocked me. Mail me something. Where you're going to go to mail me something? You're gonna go to the United States Post Office, Postal Service, however you want to call it. Just make it correct. That sign on to the Universal Postal Union. Yet you said you don't need to do that. Yet you're going to use an entity that did to mail me something, to mail something to China, France. It's vaudeville. It's Daffy Duck. Laura and Costello. See, they can say that to people who don't know. We got to prepare for the real world. That's not the real world. That's not the real world. That's children's play. They're playing with plastic food. That's not the real world. So they can tell other conscious Moors that. But we're talking about preparing our people for those who have this knowledge, those who are ambassadors for 30 years, who've been studying international law for 20, 30, 40 years, that we want to be able to dance with them. We got to prepare our people to dance with them on that level. We got to get real with this. Sister Phile, you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Thank you.
Since I'm just passionate, y'all. You know what?
No, I'm grateful. I'm grateful
for my passion. I'm not doing that.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful. But the question I asked, what what was that, that the Pope Francis, the repudiation of the doctrine of discovery? What was that
Well,
for?
I'm gonna spend 30 seconds, so we have our guests on right now. So
Oh,
just
okay,
give me
I'm sorry.
our
Okay.
guests are ready. Let's bring our guest on, because we got an hour, all right, sister. All right, so let me just bring our guest on. Sister Phile. All right, this is Sister Phile. She's the founder of the Million Woman March. The Million Woman March took place on, was that October 27th, right, sister?
Oh, October 25th.
October 26, 1997, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on the Philadelphia Parkway. I met Sister Phile through Sister Basima Muhammad. She was trying to get on Phile, so she had technical difficulty with her phone. And Taj and I had been working with Sister Basima, at the time, and then she informed us about a meeting that they were having. She was working with the Million Woman March. It would be a Million Woman March. I said, all right. So that was in 1990s. When y'all made the announcement in 96. I think you made the announcement in 96.
I actually made the official announcement in 97, May of 1997.
Wow.
But I had been organizing underground for a year prior to making it public.
That's right. And I was there, that I remember that. Right. Good. So what I want you to do, Phile, is I want you to share with us your background on community outreach. Because we don't want to just jump into the program that you're going to have to schedule for an upcoming program in July. We're going to put in some context of your hard work and community outreach.
Okay, first of all, I would appreciate using one of my titles. I don't like first names unless I'm in that kind of surrounding. So I do now have an honorary doctor's degree, so you can use Dr. Phile, you can use Empress Phile, you can use Nana Phile or Mama Phile, but definitely not just Phile. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's a reason for that. As we proceed, I've had so many infiltrations, Brother Abdullah. So again, let me just clarify why I have to insist upon that. I've been infiltrated at least 3 times, and I mean from an organizational standpoint. And what I've learned is when people tend to have a familiarity with you or make it seem that way with others, then others take that kind of advantage also. So I now have to make it very clear that I have positions, and unless I'm interacting with you in that kind of manner, then, so be it. But I've had people to kind of, utilize friendship in such a way that it misrepresented me in other arenas. So I now make it very clear to anyone, except for my very, 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 very close associates, that, we have to deal with some titles now or some recognition of accomplishment.
Absolutely. All right.
And even though I've been knowing you for years and you're going to always be my brother, when we're in public forums, I have to deal in a different kind of way.
Oh, no, I thank you for that. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Phile. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Phile. So
Thank you.
we have with us Dr. Phile. Dr. Phile. So we're gonna bring later. Joe, bring up the article, the flyer.
And my apologies, I wanted to really present you with a presentation. Unfortunately, interestingly enough, I had 2 different situations with 2 different devices, meaning my computer. So I wanted to bring you a presentation to really kind of have you to really see some of what we've accomplished in the past 10 years. So what you are going to hear is just kind of a preliminary, and hopefully you will allow me to come back at another time.
Absolutely.
And then I can really kind of go deep into what we've been doing for a decade. So family, what you're hearing tonight, best believe it's not something I just came up with last week or last month or last year. It's been a 10-year journey, and it's based on history, and it's also based on what many talk about, natural law. What is that? What does that really mean and how does that really come into play? And why is it so important that our sisters bring forward what I call the Ma'atic epoch? And again, just for the record, I don't advocate feminism or separation from our brothers, none of that. So I've had people say, "No, you're a woman march. Oh, you're just talking about the women." No, Negro, that wasn't it. That was an easy out for some to not support. But we've never separated ourselves from our men. And we made sure that people knew and understood that. So, just again, for the record, this is not something that comes from some white woman's perspective or ideology or anything of that nature. I'm truly 100% African, melanated, universally Black. And yes, I said Black for a reason. And I know that's controversial with some, but as we go into the dialogue, you will, I'm sure, get a better understanding, overstanding as to why I say what I say. Next. Uh-oh. Are you there, Brother Abdullah? All right, well, until you come back, let me just go into Million Woman March, the largest gathering in the world of any women anywhere ever in one station. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean? People talk about history. Should that not mean something to us historically? When you bring in women from all over the world, did we not have a message that was read in Spanish and English from Sister Assata Shakur? Did we not present Mother Winnie Mandela from South Africa? Did we not bring Congressman Maxine Waters, Congressman John Conyers, Dick Gregory, Malcolm X's daughters, Sister Soldier, Jada Pinkett Smith? I mean, what part of this should people not see as being something very, very important and significant? Well, obviously not, because most have never heard of it. And the few that have dismissed, not the few that have, but many have tried to dismiss it. Well, we continue to organize over the years, underground again, as Mother Harriet Tubman taught us, and as such now bring forward the first global movement for women and girls of African descent worldwide. And we say Africa because that's a continent. And perhaps more importantly, the mother of civilization. So why do we keep trying to avoid that? And again, there will be other conversations that will connect, again, what I call the Black dot. Because studying physics, I have to now look at what are some of our remedies going to be as we approach real justice and liberation. What are some of the resolutions? What are some of the applications of what it is that we're going to do? And note, how much has worked that has been done according to or going by other people's concepts, other people's ways? We talk about these laws, but have we not learned that some of this stuff is really designed to keep us going in circles? And so when we talk about natural law, what does that mean and how can it be applied? And certainly when we talk about mother, root, truly, we're talking about now principles and concepts that come from an entity and an element of a certain type. Now, why are black holes called black holes as opposed to gray holes, yellowish looking holes, or some other thing? They're called black holes for a reason. So I'm not going to go deep into that right now. But again, with the Million Woman March, that was like phase one. Phase one of addressing and dealing with some of the issues and things that have been relevant to our people. Whatever you want to call those people, we're talking about the original people, whatever name you want to give it. And note, I'm very careful about names of different peoples, countries, nations. Why? Because most, if not all of them, have blood on their hands. And what I mean by that, innocent people have died because of someone's views or what they thought was right or wasn't right, or control, power. So it would behoove us
to take into consideration that perhaps we also need to think about bringing forward some new concepts, some new names, such as the New Maroon Nation. Again, the Million Woman March demonstrated its capability, bringing 2.5 million people of African descent, of world descent, of melanated descent, whichever you prefer. When has that been done before? And yes, there was the Million Man March. And no, we were not a part of the Million Man March per se, even though, yes, we did have the, the love of the Nation of Islam and others, but we were not a part of anybody's anything. The ancestors gave me the Million Woman March. And yes, the brothers inspired me when they did the Million Man March. But if you notice, it was very different. The two things were very, very different. And I'm talking about from an ideological standpoint, from an organizing standpoint. We organized from the grassroots up. What does that mean? That means that Mary Jo on the corner, Sally Ann in the beauty salon, Katisha in the mosque, you name it, we had it. But not from the level of what most do. Meaning you gotta have a name or you gotta have this or that. We didn't do that. We let a sister come in wherever she felt she wanted to be. Because being mothers, we recognize that just because other people may not recognize your gifts and talents, we do. And certainly historically, we have proven and shown the capability of our women and girls and our people of doing things that most could not, would not, without the titles, without the names, without the recognition. So why would we proceed in such a way that we had to depend on someone that had a title or a name? So again, we did something that had never been done before. There was no already existing organization. There was no already political affiliation. There definitely wasn't a whole lot of money. There were no major benefactors, none of that. How were you able to bring 2 million people together during a time when there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, there was no Instagram, there was no TikTok, none of that? How do you get 2 million people to come together in one location without there already being an existing something already in place? So obviously folks missed that it was divine. Obviously folks missed that this was something of a totally different type. And so it was the beginning to plant some seeds. And now we're here to begin the harvesting process after 2.5 decades. So we demonstrated our capabilities. We presented platform issues even at that point. What was the theme for the Million Woman March? The 3 R's. What does that represent? For those who have grandmothers or great-grandmothers, particularly from the South, you've probably heard them say, or someone in the family say, reading, writing, and arithmetic. So remember, there was a time when many of our people were not allowed to go to school, including my mom and dad. They had to work in the field. So they only could get 2nd grade at best. So many of our people years ago did not have the affordability or the capability to be able to speak the proper English and so forth, but they knew how to get their message across. And so they would often say, girl, son, you got to get your reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now you got to go do that. And so we remembered them and we honored them. And so I created a formula, as I've done with the Recharge Genocide. And it was the 3 R's. But ours was repentance, resurrection, and restoration. These were our 3 R's in recognition of those who came before us, who instilled in us some concepts, but of a different type. So now I have another 3 R's, actually 4 of them, when we do the Recharge Genocide 21. And note, you have to add 21 for us to differentiate what we're doing from others. And by the way, I just want to say this, my brother, I want to be very clear in saying we are unified with any of our people who are doing the work to honor our ancestors and to bring our people forward. So there's different ways to do things. We recognize that, this is not a competition for us. This is about justice and liberation. And so again, we are in unity and solidarity with any of our people who are doing this work. There's, along this road, we know there's different groups that are fighting for reparations or territory justice, and that's fine. And we applaud them. We may not agree with everything they say or do or how they do it. That's not our business. And we're not trying to be or have the monopoly over something. We know what's given to us, and we will proceed in that manner. And in doing so, we will also connect with others and support them. And all we ask is that people respect and honor us, because we're going to do what we do. We've already demonstrated that, like none other. There's not another entity out here that brought 2 million Black women together. So we don't have to apologize or, anything that puts us in a position where we have to appear as if we need to concede or bow down to someone else. That's not going to happen. But at the same time, we are with anyone that is doing the righteous work for our people. We have met with Brother Elder Salas Muhammad's people. Of course, they have the Afro-descendants group that they've been working on for several decades. We've met with others, of course, in Cobra. Of course, Queen Mother Moore was one of the co-founders for that. We've met with the Mandela, the Spirit of Mandela. There's a variety of groups and organizations that we presently work with. Again, we may have different approaches, different philosophies, but the goal and the end game is the same. And before I go more into what we're doing with the Recharge Genocide 21, note 21, why? Because there's 21 areas of crimes against humanity that we've identified. So it's not just police and governmental terrorism or medical apartheid or COINTELPRO or mass incarceration or 13th Amendment. There are other areas that have to be looked at as being genocide.
Joe, put the list up.
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
We have the list. Bring up the list, Joe.
Okay, bear with me.
All right.
And my apologies again, because I have all of that in my PowerPoint presentation. But again,
we have the list.
Okay. So while they're bringing it up again, there are areas of genocide that are not being discussed. For example, here in Philadelphia, you had Holmesburg Prison, where our brothers were subjected to testing for a corporation that ended up giving them cancer. This was in very recent time. And even another situation, which is right in our midst right now, is coming up. May 13th. May 13th, 1985, a bomb was dropped here in Philadelphia. And so again, we have examples of genocide, not just for the 450 plus years, but for right in a very recent time, the 20th and the 21st century. And these are some of the things that we are citing as not only the acts of crimes against humanity, but why we must have our own everything. Our resolution, our resolve, our remedies must reflect land. It must reflect our own capability to educate our people, our own capability to exercise our spiritual ideals and thoughts. You name it, we want it. And so we've come up with immediate as well as protracted remedies. Immediate in terms of right here in Philadelphia, there's over 44 vacant properties. We've already begun to take a couple of them to at least begin to make it clear that we are no longer going to allow properties that's owned by the government, by the way. Those are the ones we're going for, not private property, government property. In California, they are dealing with legislation. Here in Philadelphia, we are putting together a commission that actually meets this Saturday for those who are interested in not only information, but advocacy and activism training and so forth. One of my sisters just returned from Geneva, Switzerland, They just had a major conference there, and then we'll be back at the UN at the end of May for that session for the Permanent Forum on African People. So I've been involved in the United Nations now for probably about 7 or 8 years. And again, in representing the vision, the tenacity of people like Queen Mother Moore, who took a petition to the United Nations in 1958. Prior to her, of course, it was right here, Paul Robeson. He lived right here in Philadelphia. And do you know, until 5 years ago, most people didn't even know about Paul Robeson and him being a lawyer, and more importantly, a freedom fighter, who literally took a petition to the United Nations in 1951, December 17th. And then William Patterson, the other lawyer, took it to Paris, France. So we have studied our people, the work that they've done over the past 75 years. Well, really longer than that, because when you talk about Mother Callie House, then we're talking about in the 1800s, you see, and we are connected to the Callie House Institute, which is in Tennessee. So again, what we did to make certain that we were in sync with those who already gave their lives, already gave research, we looked at that and said, how do we bring this forward? And so we've come up with Recharge Type 21. The methodology is very different. Note, 4 R's: reparation, restitution, retribution. Now that's the key one. That's different from anything else we've ever heard. The law of retribution. That is literally a legal area in law, or an area in law. And then the last one, of course, is restoration. All 4 of them are distinct areas in law. And so again, while we applaud what our brothers and sisters are doing in the arenas that they're doing it in, we have our own thought processes, capabilities, and assertions. And with that, we're bringing forward some fundamentals. Number one, it is very difficult to attempt to deal with your enemy when your deck is already stacked. We've seen that over and over again. These people have had treaties with a whole bunch of people. That don't mean they keep them all. So to keep trying to go in with them in such a way that we think they're going to honor what we're saying, no. We want some of this to become null and void. Why and how? There's a rule in law that I'm sure many are familiar with. It's called the clean hands law. It means when you go into a situation and you already know you don't have the best intent, you already really nullified the situation if your opposition or the other person knows what they're doing and what they're talking about. So my point is, our position with the Recharge Type 21, we are not going to attempt to try to play this the way most do. Why? We've already seen how they play. They don't play fair. For us to go into this trying to play fair with them, I don't think so. In fact, I know not. So we're asserting some other things. For example, there's never been a plebiscite. My people have never had a plebiscite that enables us to determine what do we want to be called. That's our decision, not somebody else's, not what somebody else thinks. It is my people who went into enslavement and other things in this land. These are brought here, already here. That's the other thing about us. Some of us know that we are a combination. Like me, for example. My grandfather was African, brought from the continent of Africa, but his wife was Cherokee. You see, so I don't have to split one or the other. I can claim it all legitimately. The point being, what we now do is proceed in a way that we want a new day. We want to take what we already have, but yet produce our own. So with that said, we're not looking to reinvent a wheel or to argue with them about things that they put in place for us to argue about, to have us to waste time. We're not going to do that. Oh, there it is, my brother. Yep, those are the 21 or some of the 21 areas. There's actually more, but you have 21 there. Again, we're citing various things that have not happened that should have happened after so-called Emancipation Proclamation, etc. And even without that, we're saying that acts of war have occurred. Now, what does that mean? You cannot use the same laws when, in fact, you're using the laws of war. So therefore, certain things once again become nullified. My people were prisoners of war. And so to argue just on the level of civil or even international, we have to combine these elements now. And again, this is why, sisters, you are all so very vital. And while we're oftentimes dismissed, because the enemy knows that if that continues, there's not going to be the kind of progress that there can be. So with that said, we hold the stuff in our bosom, meaning the idea and the elements of justice is in our possession. It's within us, which I'll go into another time. But the point is, we're talking about plebiscite. We're talking about what that means, us having the capability to name ourselves.
I'm in my class, Megan. You on TV. You gonna watch TV.
I'm sorry, was that for me?
I'll put that up. Mute your phone, please. Mute your device. Somebody who's
Okay, no problem. So again, plebiscite, you can look it up, and so you may see different definitions for that. And again, we use the laws of self-determination. When we talk about international law, we assert certain concepts that is undeniable, and we are able to present it in the manner that best serves us. Oops, wait a minute, hold on, my computer just, here we go. So the point being, from the laws and the basis and the ideals of self-determination, we're saying that once we are consolidated as a civil society, which is what we're now establishing based on our situation as we present it, the violations that we are charging that has been imposed and inflicted upon us. With that said, we now are going to have a plebiscite. There'll be 3 sessions to acclimate our people, but at some point there will be what again, some might call a convention. In Western or European concepts, it's oftentimes known as a referendum or things of that nature. No, anything that they say, that's not always how it has to stay. We see that with amendments, correct? So to constantly assume or even embrace what they say as being the only all, that makes no sense to me. So we're saying in establishing a plebiscite as we want it, as it will be a remedy for us. This will enable us to raise the question and to vote amongst ourselves, for lack of a better word. You can say agreement or what have you, but the point is, we will be able to, what do we want to be called? We will make that determination. How do we want to be governed? Do we want to use democracy, communism, socialism, or do we want to introduce a new concept? And we do have several, by the way. What do we want to, these are the questions that have to be raised amongst us. And again, we applaud and we want to support and unite with any of our people that have their own solutions, their own remedies. We support that. If it's righteous, we down with it. But at the same time, we don't want or need anybody trying to tell us what we should do, how we should do it, or anything else. We have this pain and suffering in our hearts and in our being. No one has the right to try to tell us how to do something. And we're not trying to tell somebody else how they should. We want that same courtesy. So we always make it clear that when we talk about unity, as many will say, there's a de facto and there's a de jure. There's a real, and then there's a whole bunch of BS. And so we are here to distinguish the two from one from the other. So I'm going to stop there for a moment, Brother Abdullah. If there's some questions or comments, I'm certainly ready to engage in that.
Yes, great point. And there are questions Questions? Questions or comments? No questions, anyone?
So basically, one of the remedies, but this is Rod Sirius out of Arizona, Sister Peace. One of the remedies that you were talking about is a plebiscite.
Well, not so much as a remedy, it is an act that will be placed into the arena prior to other things happening. In other words, what one of our main positions is to educate, and I'm going to change that word for now and say to edify our people. Any of our people who want the information or inclined to embrace it or just want to know. So again, unlike most, we're committed to making certain that we educate the masses. This is important. So things like plebiscites or pre-plebiscites enables those who are clueless to become acquainted with what we talk to each other, which is good. I mean, we need to exchange, we need to connect, but the majority of people have no idea. Now, some would argue and say, oh, they don't want to know, or they da, 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 da. Well, as a mother, I'm not going to accept that like that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not foolish, nor am I, idealistic in such a way that I don't know or understand reality. But what I do know is I have had people in my circle who were clueless. And once they got some real solid information without, shall we say, the little loopholes in it, it changed their lives. So my point is the pre-plebiscite sessions are really for edification purposes, as well as organizing, as well as agitating. Again, this is a multi-level modality whereby it's not just about getting reparations. It's also about making certain that our people, those who are interested and those who maybe aren't interested at this time, to have direct access. Where's it happening at? Most people, even the learned ones, don't even know that right now we're getting ready to close out the International Decade for African People, as declared by the United Nations. Come next year, it'll be over. Most have no idea that years ago, the UN declared the International Decade for African Women. So even people who do follow these things really, either don't know or don't care, one or the other. The point is, this information, a lot of information is kept from our people. And so I don't plan to repeat some of the mistakes that have already happened, where only an elite group is able to make moves. Because this is what has happened in the past. Again, as mother, I had to look at all of my children and know and understand that each one has a role, each one has a talent, each one has a skill and a capability. And so I do not want to continue to do the kinds of things that we have seen over the years. And what that means is there has to be some changes. I dare say, without sounding accusatory, sister didn't create the situation that we're in. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Any other questions?
I'm surprised no one asked about natural law. And I'm not talking about from the European context.
Yes, can you elaborate on that?
Oh, somebody got, the great Patrice Malula. Love it. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that question.
I accidentally spoke over somebody else. And I had asked, what about natural law? But I don't know if somebody else had another question also. I didn't mean to speak over them.
Yes, excuse me. I was actually asking the same question to further elaborate on that concept.
In terms of natural law? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure how much time we have, and so I would really, I'm going to give a brief overview of that.
You have for 25 minutes.
Okay, so I'm just going to say this for now, and then hopefully, again, you will invite me to come back, and I can really, present some information with the visual connected to it. But I will say this, that a lot of the concepts that many gravitate to, when you begin to look closer at where did they come from? Where was that derived from? Who were the authors of it? And so when we talk about natural law, at least from the context of an original people, then obviously we are probably going to focus on some things that is not as well known. And so the one thing I liked about Einstein, which I don't normally promote other people's concepts or anything like that, but from what I learned about Albert Einstein, he was very much connected to folks who were in our realm. He was connected to them, supported them, and so forth. But one of the things that he said as a physicist, and that is an area that I study a lot. One of the things that he said in another realm was to keep doing the same thing over and over again is a form of insanity if you expect a different result. So where have we seen in recent years where our women collectively, not just one here, one there, but collectively on a global kind of level, where have we seen that put into place where it's actually operable? So for that to happen, surely that would be different. So the point is, if we're going to do some things, obviously we better do some things that are a little different, because obviously some things that have been happening ain't been working. In fact, it's gotten a lot worse. And we can keep blaming each other when we know that what I call the system of off-white supremacy, it has its mechanisms in place in such a way that if we, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and Brother Neely Fuller, I think said it very, very poignantly. And that is, if you do not understand the system of white supremacy, everything else will only confuse you. Just that simple. So again, what we're realizing is that we've got to begin to look at how can we do some things differently, not just the same thing they told us, oh, this is how you should do it, this is how you could do it. Well, our mother, your father, why do we need somebody else trying to tell us how we should do something? I mean, really, don't get me wrong. Yes, we're in a world, yes, it's a global situation and we have to adhere to that, no doubt. But to the extent that we are, I think it's injurious at best. And we need to start looking at it a little differently. So again, going back to the question of natural law, we need to examine, what does that mean? How are we really connecting to the elements of the universe? What are we really doing that lends ourselves to that? You see, and these are the things that we must begin to look at, because as we know, we're really, to a great extent, an oral people, historically, traditionally. That doesn't negate or exclude the written format at all, by no means. But when you understand war and you understand the enemy, clearly, if the enemy knew all of what we know, we really would be in trouble. Because they took what they knew or thought they knew and already used that against us. So obviously, what they don't know and could never know could be a very good weapon. In fact, not could be, is a very good weapon. And as the brother mentioned, my first name is Phile. It's actually Phileka. It's spelled differently from the way the Europeans, the Greeks spelled it. They spelled it Phile. When you look in the Bible or in other literature, you will see the island of Phile, Phile. My name is not spelled that way. It is spelled more traditionally from the Yoruba and the Akan and the Kemet tradition. So Phile, accent mark over the E. Just like you write Ma'at, M-A, it's really a little dash there, and then A-T. The point is, the island of Phile is an island that is connected to, of course, the Mass. But what is on that island? The pharaohs are buried, many of them on that island. Now I'm just going to leave it there for a few moments because all of that is very significant. Certain things didn't happen, just because it was cute or nice or whatever. That was for some very distinct reasons. But those who were to come afterwards, who would be able to decipher and understand what certain things really are. So I'm just saying again, there's some things that it's just not written. So when we talk about natural law, we will talk about it in the context that is relevant to how we understand and comprehend certain things. And that would take a lot more time than another 10 minutes. So I think y'all get my gist.
Thank you very much for your insights.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yes, this brother Lumumba. I just wanted to ask for just for a little bit further elaboration as far as the information being disseminated to the masses. Could you just touch on that subject matter a little bit more, as far as certain informations that's pertinent, and how that could be disseminated amongst the masses to create a better base as far as some of the agendas and initiatives that are being pushed forward, by various camps as far as ideologically.
Sure, absolutely. For example, we want to deal with some fundamentals. When we talk about human rights, when we talk about civil rights, and of course, as Brother Abdul always brings, international law. But again, we can't really give the kinds of information or insights. Now, for those of you who study and are already, on a certain level, of course, you get it automatically. But again, the ideas of being your brother's keeper and your sister's sister, where does that come in at? In real time. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do what we do with one another, those who are of a certain or on a certain level, but at the same time, simultaneously, we must make certain that we are more holistic in what we do and how we do it. So, example, when we present the information about genocide, GEN, and again, this is disseminating things in such a way that is applicable more to our people. It reaches their inner core, their inner being, their frequency. So GEN, in this world, in our comprehension of things, GEN is going to make reference to one or two things, either life or death. Now there's a little in between stuff, but it's either going to mean something that's dealing with life or dealing with death. It's a very interesting concept here that we're dealing with. And this is what we bring to our people. Meaning, for example, Genesis, the beginning, GEN. Genealogy, you're talking about, again, history, the connection of the people based on genes. Genes, by the way. Genocide. What are we talking about with genocide? Death. So again, this GEN, and then for those who deal in the more spiritual realm, when you hear the word jinn, even though it might be spelled a little differently, it still has a certain connotation. There's a connection between these things, needless to say. And of course, with Brother Abdul, he studies etymology, then y'all already know to some degree, if not to a great degree, these realities. But our people don't. And it has to be done in a way, again, that is applicable to them, not the way Europeans bring information. It's almost like math. I couldn't learn math in school. My brain just couldn't compute it because the way it was taught, it just wasn't conducive for me. But then when I started dealing with it in a different kind of way, then I got it. I loved algebra and other realms. So my point is the way we disseminate information to our people is very important. So again, concept. What is human rights? Well, technically for me, I don't even call myself a human being, to be honest with you. And I know some of you don't either, but that's okay. Because the way we break it down, it is still relevant and it's still applicable and it can still come into the necessary concept of what it is we are trying to get them to comprehend without alienating them, without making them feel lesser than. Now, again, why do I not say human being? Again, because with my teachings, it is very different. But as a mother, as an Mwalimu, meaning teacher, then I have to take into consideration, I am dealing with students and other dimensions and other areas of things. So again, more importantly, as mother, see, that's going to always override these other titles. This is why I always assert that first. Again, concepts that are fundamental. What are your human rights? Do people know what that means? Even in the Constitution, it says a little something, something. Inalienable rights. What does that mean? Something that nobody can take from you. What does that mean? Are mothers telling their children the fundamentals of their own rights on this planet? These are the kinds of things that we're talking about bringing to the forefront in a relatively simplistic manner, but at the same time, not so simplistic, but that it has the capability to bring about mental liberation, spiritual liberation. Again, we deal with a holistic approach here. And so I say that because, again, many are now moving towards being vegan or vegetarian or whatever. So when I ask again, when we talk about natural law, what are we talking about? How do you lend yourself into the flow of the naturalness of things? And possibly by what you're doing with your own being, how is that connected to the universal law? How are you being a receiver or a receptive of it? In certain circles, I call myself a conductor, not a leader, a conductor. Why? Because again, in thinking on multiple kinds of levels simultaneously, I say to people, I don't like being called a leader, even though in some circles, that's what I'm being called, but I try to convey to them, I would prefer to be called a conductor. And they would say, well, why? Because in the field of physics, what does a conductor do? It enables the energy or the elements or whatever to be brought in, and then it's disseminated. In the field of music, what does a conductor do? It enables the instruments, the harmony, the movement of music to come together. That's what a conductor does in music. So again, you have physics, you have music. Just like in law, some of these things have they have the same word, but different modes of operation. But yet the word in itself is very powerful. so be it, the word. Again, conductor. What was Harriet Tubman called? She was called the Moses of her people, but she was also called the conductor. My point is, we convey things to our people in such a way that it connects those black dots. And why do I say the black dot? Right here. What is this called right here? The pineal gland is called what? Simplistically, without going into the medical terms. Why do so-called people of India usually put a jewel or some other marking there? Why? What's right there? It's called the black dot. Why? What does it mean? What is the connectivity to that? To the universe? This is what I mean by natural law. To come into that realm of it, not just talk about it, to be it. What is going to be the applications of that? This is what our sisters are now being given. To give birth, a new birth, to our people.
All right, give thanks.
All right, I'd like you to present the, this is Terrence Bay here. I'd like you to present the flyer here. I'll put it up on the screen here for everyone. Can everyone see it?
Do you have the newest one, Brother Abdullah? It's like red.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I don't have the newest. I thought that's the one that no.
You should have that in your email.
This is the one you sent me 2-3 months ago.
Okay, but no, you should have a newer one that I sent you very recently, both in your email and in your text.
I'll check my email.
Check
But
your
this is the one
text.
you sent me about 3 months ago, I think.
Right, yeah, that's an older one, but you should have a newer one.
All righty.
But at any rate, this one's good. This one is okay. As you can all see, the woman is blind because justice, is said to be blind. And again, how do we diffuse the energy and the, I don't want to go into the metaphysics at this moment, but how do we go into this thing that we're locked into, on another level? And so again, what are we going to apply? So they use this, the Statue of Liberty, which we know the history of it, of course, but in the context that they present it, what are we going to do to counter? So we bring in the concept of Ma'at. Why? Because prior to this and anything else that they're talking about, we know that Ma'at represented justice. And not just justice, but truth, reciprocity, honor, balance, righteousness, law, order. At least 7 principles. Why do we not assert these things? Why are we constantly following what they say? I'm saying we already have a black print, not a blueprint. We have a black print. And again, the black dot, the black hole. This is not about trying to identify in the context of nationality. No, we're talking about identifying in the context of the universe from which everything comes from until they prove otherwise. And again, I'm not negating the importance of land mass identification, etc. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that. I'm merely saying that in being holistic, let us please begin to consider that there are dynamics in the universe. And while we talk about 360 degrees, most folks only comprehend in 10 at best. So let's begin to understand, overstand, whatever stand you want to take. Let's begin to deal with these things in such a way that we could bring it together. Listen, in being holistic, you have hands, you have eyes, you have ears, you have legs, arms, all of them do stuff differently. They're connected to the body, but they're doing things differently, as they're supposed to do. We need to begin to respect one another and honor one another in that regard.
Sister Dr. Phile, can you, this is the list. This is the list of topics for those who are interested in presenting. So we just want to, we want to actually show the entire list. Let's go.
Okay. And again, it's actually more, but we wanted 21 for a reason. And this helps keep folks focused, and it gives you some very, key specifics. We understand very clearly, again, there's stuff on the surface, and then there's things that are more in depth. And because we are focusing on different levels or different grounds, we let folks know that we can go at this in any way you want to go with it. But this is the way that we are presenting it right now. Remember, I've studied the work of Dr. Yusuf Kli. He was an international lawyer, and he was talking about this in the 1950s. Again, international law in the context, not from, trying to do what the Europeans did or whatever. He was an advisor to Brother Malcolm. When Malcolm X went to Africa in 1965, Dr. Yusuf Kli helped him to develop his concept of going to the African Union to then present our plight here. Now, this was 1965. Remember, Paul Robeson was 1951. Queen Mother Moore was 1958. Queen Mother Moore was also an advisor to Malcolm X. Both of them lived in Philadelphia for a while. We have to know the history of certain things. You can't leave it at what they tell us. We have to dig this stuff up, and then other things will be revealed to us when we do that.
Right.
You see COINTELPRO? It was right outside of Philadelphia that COINTELPRO was exposed. Folks broke into a federal building right outside of Philadelphia, and in doing so seized documents that literally began to show what COINTELPRO was in writing, the actual document. This is why Philadelphia is important in certain movements. It's the first capital of these people. It is where George Washington had his slaves, his so-called house, right here in this part of the land. And so to address certain issues here in Philadelphia is important from a lot of different angles. And so we will proceed in that manner, understanding that there is something here that we can tap into. And again, it is important. What is this called? The cradle of liberty? The cradle of liberty? What does that tell you in terms of dealing with remedies? Why is Pennsylvania called the Keystone State? Why? Well, we know, but I'm saying, what is our application in addressing these things? And so this is why I tell our sisters again, it is so important that our women, and again, it is our brothers who are going to help our sisters to be able to come into their rightful places. For a man to be able to do that, this is going to lend to the upliftment of us all. As has been often said, a nation will rise no higher than its women. The woman is the first teacher. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and it was through a message. And it was a chat. And then someone put into the message, what you're talking about is, what do you call it? Feminism on steroids. And I laughed, because again, as mother, I really wanted to slap him, but I ended up just thanking him. And I did so in such a way that I said, before white women and feminism and all this, what you're talking about came into existence, your mother existed. Mama was here. Don't get it confused. I'm not. Now you might be, and you're showing it. You're showing your fear. You're showing your lack of confidence in yourself by not wanting to recognize truth. Now the time has come where that's not going to play out too well anymore. The time has come where people are either going to step up or they need to step off. You see that in nature. What is nature saying right now? Nature's doing some real interesting things. And if you're paying attention to that, then clearly you can see that some things are happening. And they're going to happen even more so. And folks will either be ready and prepared or they won't be. And so what we're saying now is it's about all of us, but we know that for the most part, it is our women and girls who will be raped. I'm not saying that certain things aren't happening with our brothers or haven't happened. I'm not trying to negate that. But y'all do know that 9 times out of 10, it would happen to a female first. And it does, and it is. And you're not hearing much said about it. The kidnapping in our communities, the sex trafficking in our communities, who's saying anything about that? And why? Why not? It's not profitable. People don't care like that. It didn't happen to them. So again, our Recharge Inside 21 encompasses the day-to-day reality, not just the past, but what's happening right here, right now. If you do not present it in that manner, then we will have not only been negligent, I consider it a form of treason. And this is how we've got to now look at it. We all have a place in this. This government has the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines, and then a whole bunch of other stuff that goes, on the sidelines. So let's not try to put all of our stuff in one basket. It's ridiculous at this stage of the game. Let's come together where we can, when we can, and bring this thing forward. And we can, and we must. So in July, from the 27th to the 29th, we'll be here in Philly. People will be coming in from different parts of the U.S. and parts of the world, actually. Sister Julia Wright, she's in France. We have Frantz Fanon's daughter, Muriel. She's in France now too, but they travel all around because they do UN stuff. So we'll be getting reports and other kinds of things that's going to be relevant to how we need to move. But we're all learning. Nobody knows it all. I don't care how good you get. You don't know it all, and you're not going to. But we can learn a lot. We can do a lot if we're open to that. And so when people come in July, they're ready to learn, to listen, but also to exchange, to come in with ideas. For example, the meeting I had earlier today, the brother here in Philly, he's going to be working on filing suits against the city. Now, it's not about winning. I mean, we hope, but that's not it. How do you educate the masses? You got to do certain things. When we took over that building here in Philly, we took the lock off. That's right. Adverse possession. We took the lock off to make a statement. You have a building sitting in our community for 20 years vacant. Why? With all the people who are homeless. Many of them are women with children. Why would there be a building that is capable of housing people just sitting there? And why are people letting it happen? So a few months ago, we took the lock off. We told them we were taking it off. Therefore, they, not like we were doing something they didn't know. We know the law, at least some of it. But we made the statement. We are not going to allow this to continue. You're not going to keep doing this in our community and then think it's okay without us not saying or doing something. And when we made that move, family, let me tell you, the people in that neighborhood came over because we had our tent out, we had information, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And we said, "We get ready to take this building." They were like, "What?" We said, "Yeah." They said, "Well, yeah. Well, finally, I want to get involved." And we started cleaning and so forth. My point is, when people see that you are ready to take an action, and I don't mean something foolish or, something that's just, crazy. No. When they see that your heart is in the right place and that you know what you're doing too, they're willing to step up also. They showed us that. So now we're getting ready to meet with the city, see what they're talking about. But on the other hand, one of my brothers is going to file a lawsuit, right? We're going to request a moratorium on any more properties being sold, particularly to developers. And whatever we do here in Philly, we duplicate it in 7 other cities. I have 7 sister cities that we've been working out of, researching. Philadelphia has something called 2035. That's the plan that they've already had in place for probably about 30 years now. They just letting other people know that they have it. But they have here 2035. Detroit has 2050. Memphis, Tennessee has 3.5 or 3.0, something like that. My point is, there's a national agenda to make sure that there's property relegated to certain people, and that our people are pushed out to designated areas. That's a plan, a national plan. Why do you think that plan is in effect? COVID already showed that they had the capability to tell people that under public safety health, they can maneuver you any way they want to, and folks are going to go for it. Nonsense. Look up a sister by the name of Yolanda Ward. This is a part of the classes that we provide to some of our people, as the brother asked earlier. How do we bring information? Yolanda Ward was connected to Philly, as well as St. Louis, Chicago, New York, because we used to have housing activists all over the country. They were serious people, really, and fighting for decent housing, affordable housing, and folks to own property, their homes. Bottom line, 1978, thereabouts, people were organized nationally, doing certain kinds of things. Now, some sold out, needless to say, but some didn't. Yolanda Ward was a young student at Howard University in DC. But because at that time you had people like today, they traveled, connect, had meetings and so forth. Well, housing activists were meeting a lot during that time period, because remember, we were just coming out of the 60s era where they were rebellions all over the country. Detroit, Philly, California. You had what they call riots. We call them rebellions. So the United States government said, this will never happen again. Y'all ain't gonna never be out of control like that, and we can't contain you the way we want to contain you, or you're not even gonna be able to do that like that. So it went into effect, actually in the 70s. And so the government came up with all these plans, including Section 8, including model cities and so forth and so on, to make certain that they could begin to contain us in our communities in a certain way until they were able to really maneuver us out of certain areas, period. This is what you're seeing now. Detroit, Atlanta, and so forth. Now, Yolanda Ward, 1978, began to write about what she saw, what was going on. She did a tremendous amount of research. 1979, she started publishing it. Similar to Rumia Abu-Jamal, who researched and started writing about some things that the system did not want. Yolanda Ward, a young student, I think she was 22 or 21, something like that at the time, began to publish her findings, the report that she was able to come up with that literally showed what the government and corporations were doing and what they were going to do. In 1980, Yolanda Ward was murdered. They claim it was a robbery. She was with 4 other people who were not killed, only her. And she was killed execution style in Baltimore, in DC. She was connected to activists here in Philly. Some of them, one of them I knew who I came under as a student. That's why I kind of know what's going on with this. So my point is, what you are now seeing has been put in place at least 50 years ago, and we can document it. It's not just what you see right now. Corporations are coming into these cities now in such a way in education, in every other kind of way, health, so forth. It's all getting ready to be managed by private corporations and government. What is our plan? Again, as the brother said earlier, we're not talking about sovereignty. We're talking about self-determination. We're talking about remedies based on the violations that have been inflicted upon us, and we just want y'all to leave us alone. Don't do whatever y'all want to do. Leave us alone. But make sure we got what we're supposed to get, because rightfully it is ours and that's what we want. And we are appealing to governments now to make certain that this can go into effect. Now, again, I'm not.
One more minute, Sister Phile, so we got Dr. Phile will finish.
But the point is, you still have to do these things to make some kind of headway. You can't just sit and not do certain things, even though we know some of this is a setup. We know that. But I've been to Africa. I've been to Caribbean countries. So yes, there's a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of other stuff going on. But again, the forces of nature do what it wants to do too. And sometimes we just need to be aligned in a certain way for possibly some other things to happen. And that's what we're talking about with the Recharge Impact 21 and other initiatives that folks are bringing to the table. But again, we've already demonstrated our capability. Being who we are, what we've accomplished, we now move forward in that manner to go to the next step, the next level. And you will begin to see that this October when we present the Million Woman World March. But again, it is connected to the bigger picture, to the whole of us as a people. This is just the women's work part, Everything has its own role. This is our part in the bigger picture. And we hope that our brothers will support as they did before, but now even more so, in knowing that this is our role, this is what we're doing. We're asking for your support, but be real clear, if we don't get it, it ain't gonna stop nothing. Like I said, you know how mama do. Mama will give you a hug after she thank you, and that's what's getting ready to happen. Folks can either fall in place or stand up in place or just get the heck out the way.
Dr. Phile, you want to give your information on how people can contact you?
Sure. Actually, if you're in the Philly area, and if you're not in the Philly area, you can join us on Saturday. We will be at the Nile Garden. Some people know them as a Far Set. They've been in existence now for 40 years. They have their own society. Again, we have connected with entities that have proven their capability to maintain. That group has been there for 30 years. That same building, they got the restaurant, and now the whole back is open for events and so forth. So we've made it a point to connect with people who have stayed true to who they are and what they are. And now bringing it together in whatever ways we can. So we'll be there on Saturday from 2 to 6. It'll also be a kind of town hall meeting where we've invited some of the politicians to come to tell us not what they want to tell us. No, We had 3 questions. What is your position on reparations, reparatory justice? What is your position on gentrification? What is your position on COINTELPRO and the violence and abuse of our women and girls? We want to know what your position is, and if you are elected, what is your plan to assist in these areas? That's what we're asking. Now, somebody else can ask whatever they want to ask, but that's what we're asking, to begin to establish an agenda. So again, Saturday, people can come out, and we're going to be on Zoom, so you can contact us, and we'll send you that, but we'll be at 6008 Germantown Avenue here in Philly, and we'll also be on Zoom and Facebook. And if you contact me at area code 267-636-3802, text me, please. Don't call me, text me with that. And I'll make sure you get whatever links or other information you need, or you can email me at nationalmwm@aol.com. Again, national spelled out, mwm@aol.com, or go to the other one. National Black Human Rights Project is nbhrproject@gmail.com. Again, nbhrproject@gmail.com. We appreciate any donations that you might want to send our way. Cash App, $HOT1111, or you can use PayPal for the National Black Human Rights, which is nbhrproject@gmail.com. That will take our PayPal. Again, we are totally independent. Never had a grant, never had corporate sponsoring, never. So we do what we do based on our own ingenuity, capability, and creativity. Now we're getting ready to do business. We started something called Do Business with the Divine and the Righteous USA. And we just did this at the United Nations in March. We introduced it to the women for Women's History Month at the United Nations. They loved it. And so when we say do business with the righteous and the divine USA, United Sisters of Africa.
Thank you, Dr. Phile, for wonderful presentation. Definitely we'll have you back. We'll have you back and for the PowerPoint presentation we talked about. So I'll see you on Saturday. Yes, I did get the information. All right, so this will be uploaded tomorrow or next day or two to our Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. All right, click like and subscribe. Click like and subscribe, and also share. We have a host of other classes in the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Go to my website, mooresandmasonry.org, to order my books, Moors and Masonry Part 1, The Masonic Compass Square, and the Connection and Measurement of Timekeeping, The Illuminati and Illumination of the Mind, How Her Venus and Moon Rule, Etymology and Vocabulary, Supplement U1, and the most recent released book, Moors and Masonry Part 2, The Power of Moorish Treaties and the Recovery of Lost Moorish Sovereignty. All right, mooresandmasonry.org. All right, so looking forward to seeing you back. 2 weeks we'll be back here. Mato Kuvu and Abraham Prong will be with us, and I'm gonna see if I get Sister Sasha and Brother Monty. Shem and I met both of them in New York at the Endgame presentation, and then we've been working with them. Yes.
Can I make a real quick announcement? I forgot, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. Friday, we hope that you all will join us. Sister Ramona Africa. We will be talking with her on, we call it an evening with Ramona Africa. It's so important that people remember, again, a bomb was dropped here in Philadelphia on May 13, 1985. 11 people were murdered, 5 of them children. The thing about that, as if that wasn't bad enough, we learned 2 years ago that some of the remains of the children was used for study. University of Pennsylvania and Princeton took remains of the children, and the parents, the family knew nothing about this at all. They were using the remains of the children for some of their classes online, for instance. We want to hear from Sister Ramona as she represents the family, and we're asking all to join us again to hear what she has to say. And again, we charge genocide 21. That's on Friday at 7 o'clock. Again, if you email me or text me, I will send you the Zoom link. I'll make sure that Brother Abdullah has it so that he can make it accessible to you as well. But please show this sister some love and support. She's the only survivor of the C4 bomb that was dropped here in Philadelphia that ruined 61 homes and murdered 11 people.
Thank you once again, Dr. Phile. I look forward to having you back. We'll talk about bringing you back definitely in the near future. So probably next month if we could. We can continue. So once again, y'all, this will be uploaded, and Dr. Phile, I'll make sure I send this to you. Right, this is the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. This is the Moroccan Post School for Government for International Law, for Government International Law. So look, I'll be back here in 2 weeks. Mata Kubu and Brother Abraham Aprang of the Attica Kingdom Alliance, and I'll see if I can get Sister Sasha and her brother Monty on to talk about what they've been doing. All right, Shim and I are also connected with them. All right, so once again, go to this is the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page, which will be uploaded. Click like and subscribe and hit the notification button and also share. Thank you all again. Peace, everyone.
All right, peace. Give thanks.